Schnaubelt denies allegations of election process tampering. Central Governor denies rumours of deteriorating health. And efforts underway to end ethnic tensions in Bulolo.
This is National EMTV News with Bulolo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Saturday's news. A Northeast candidate in NCD says the electorate lacks vision despite seeing few developments in the past 3 years. People's Progress Party candidate John Varre told MTV News people must vote wisely. There have been very strong campaigns by candidates running against sitting MP Labi Amayo.
In an interview with MTV News, John Varre spoke of the need to systematically improve the delivery of services in the Northeast electorate. He says despite the poor economic state and other issues crippling the delivery of services, a visionary leader can make a difference.
Our nation will rise or fall depending on political leadership. And political leaders are elected to parliament specifically to make decisions, negotiations and dealings in the best interest of the electors, the voters, the people.
Varre's campaign policy is financial freedom for every person in a community. He says this will help alleviate poverty and decrease unemployment, two main issues he believes are common in the Mosby Northeast electorate.
We have gained political independence, but it's about time we give financial independence to our people, and that is where the country lacks greatly. And it is my key policy to empower our people to achieve financial freedom, to increase their earning, their saving, their spending power, and with financial freedom, they can enjoy high quality of life.
John Varre is contesting under the People's Progress Party and is against 50 other candidates, including sitting MP Labi Amayo. Carl Okuk is another candidate vying for the post and wants a change in the district's leadership.
I'm not playing national politics. I'm live and dead there. We plan to put your right man control of parliament. Or people die, or people suffer.
In NCD, the Mosby Northeast seat has the highest number of candidates contesting, including 6 women. Candidates like John Kaupa have contested for the last 2 elections and is not taking this election lightly.
There is problem somewhere. We have to rectify it and we have to fix it. You need a new government.
About 9 days remain before the campaign period ends and the polls open for voting. Jack Lepave Jr., National EMTV News.
As the countdown begins to the end of campaign period, sitting governor for Central Province, Kila Hauda, has dismissed talks that he has a deteriorating health condition. He assured the Central people that he is adamant on retaining his seat to further enhance his policies on advanced education, improved health and upgrading all service delivery mechanisms. He said intending candidates were using his health to spread false rumours that he is in a wheelchair and being spoon-fed.
Walking unaided during his campaign rallies in the past 2 weeks, Governor Hauda blamed opposing candidates and their supporters for igniting negative rumors about his health on social media. He was at Egalauna village on the Aroma Coast this week, where he told the people he was fine and ready to take on Central Province and move it forward.
My main purpose of coming here is that when I went to Australia, because of minor stroke, the Facebook was littered with stories about me being twisted, we've been fed on bed and wheelchair bound. That is why my advisors and also communities from here said, you must come to Aroma Coast. Their brains are all washed by this rubbish in the Facebook. That's why I came here today, and you saw me, I'm talking myself, I'm walking by myself. Doctors in Cairns told me, Kila, your recovery in 2 weeks is recovery that normally achieved by patients like yourself 6 to 1 month, 1 year time. So I have a very quick recovery. I came back on time in Papua New Guinea. You know, candidates have nothing to say against me. I can tell you that. That is why they talk about my health. Now when I'm back, they see me in TV, they see me in newspaper, this had all disappeared. People have put their hands up as government material. that is democratic country, and I welcome you all to this race. But it doesn't give you the right to say what you want to any person in the race.
Kila Hauda's priority in government is education. He cemented his policy on enhanced education, continuing to subsidize tertiary education and increasing overseas study scholarships. He also emphasized Christian principles for the younger generation.
I want to say that I want, as a governor, and also if I can come in as a governor, I want to have a new generation of Central Province, that we must have a breed new breed of Central Province that is based on Christian principles and education. Before your children go to classroom, the mothers and fathers make sure that children are taken to Sunday school, and they must know the word of God before they go to the classroom.
During his term, Governor Hauda established the Parent School Fee Assistance Program, eligible for all Central students in universities or tertiary institutions and theological institutions nationwide, where 2,000 kina is paid to each student. Over 5,000 students have benefited from this program, with just over 10 million kina being spent in total. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
Namatanai Open intending candidate Walter Schnaubelt has brushed off allegations leveled against him for tampering with the election process. Schnaubelt has come out publicly after he was allegedly accused of being in possession of ballot papers and hiring military personnel for his election campaign. Mr. Schnaubelt says the allegations were politically motivated to interfere with his campaign for the Namatanai Open seat. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
You've got now oil palm.
Walter Schnaubelt has been the subject of election controversy in the last 5 days. On Wednesday this week, he held a media conference in Kokopo to clear his name from all the allegations leveled against him and the National Alliance Party. It says the allegations were motivated by his rival candidates for the Namatanai Open seat.
As far as my voters are concerned, I would like, and I'm proud to say, that this has no effect at all on the ground in the Namatanai district. None whatsoever.
On Sunday this week, the Schnaubelt police received a tip-off regarding former PNGDF personnel who were traveling to Kaveng with ballot papers. Upon the tip-off, the police apprehended the 23 military personnel at Tokua Airport. They were detained at the Kokopo police station and questioned. In their possession were askis containing campaign posters and scrutineer forms, which the Kokopo police assumed were ballot papers that were intended to be smuggled into Kaveng from Port Moresby. Mr. Schnaubelt says the contents of the askis weren't ballot papers.
What was in the ASCII that they have discovered and claimed incorrectly in the media that it was ballot papers and ballot boxes, that was not what they found.
19 of the men are former soldiers, whilst the other 3 are currently serving PNGDF soldiers on approved work leave. They were recruited by Walter Schnaubelt's SOS security company. Mr. Schnaubelt says they were deployed to Kaveng as scrutineers at the polling sites.
But there hasn't been any formal charge. No arrest has been done, right? And all my staff have been released, together with documentation that they've held in their possession, assuming that there were ballot papers and boxes, which now have been released because they've got no right to hold on to my campaign materials.
Attempts to get a response from the Schnaubelt police boss were unsuccessful, but it is understood the 19 men and a woman detained in Kokopo were released without any formal charges laid against them, and the contents of the ASCII were returned to Mr. Schnaubelt. The other 3 PNGDF personnel were sent back to Port Moresby. As it is understood, they are currently attached to the PNG Defence Force and they were not part of the 500 personnel deployed for election operations. Edwin Fidelis, National, EMTV News, Kokopo.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill was in Rigo Inland in the Central Province this week for the member for Rigo, Anopala. The Prime Minister said the challenges faced by people in remote Rigo are similar to those in his electorate of Yalibupangia. These are the want for better schools, roads and hospitals, the simple things that people deserve to make life a little bit easier.
The Prime Minister received somewhat of a hero's welcome in Boku in Rigo Inland. The people were excited to have the country's Prime Minister visit the remote area. First and foremost, Mr. O'Neill apologized to the people for not being able to speak Motu despite being from Southern Highlands, also called the last Papua.
Fellow countrymen speak Motu, but I can't, so bear with me. We are the new generations of last Papuans who don't speak the Motu. The old generations do speak Motu.
To more serious business, the Prime Minister said a lack of government services in many remote parts of the country is because of unstable governments in the past, inexperienced leaders, and those that lacked vision and priority. He said, as a result, the problems faced by the country today are so severe they cannot be fixed in one term of parliament.
Today, for the first time, after 5 years of steady government, we can see where we are going, the direction that we are going. The direction we are going is a secure future for our children. Secure future for our children. And many of this is shown by the policies that we have been implementing in the last 5 years. And last 5 years has not been easy.
Member for Rigo and Minister for Justice and Attorney General Ano Pala thanked the Prime Minister for visiting his district. Mr. Pala said the People's National Congress Party will stay true to implementing its policies.
You see our promise. You see our direction. We know exactly where we are going. When other candidates come and tell you they will do this, they will do that, you have no idea where they are going because they have no policies.
The Prime Minister also campaigned for Mr. Pala, urging the people to get behind him, saying Mr. Pala's leadership expertise was needed at the national level to build a country for the coming generation. Next week is the last week of campaigns before the people of Rigo and the rest of Papua New Guinea goes to the polls. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The Lae Police Metropolitan Command has just ended a successful election awareness concert at Eriku Oval. The first of its kind in Lae, police enlisted the help of Sipik music veteran Willie Sebas and the Segothons band to draw a crowd before delivering the message for a trouble-free polling.
Initially, the crowd that came appeared quiet and reserved. Unused to being at an awareness concert hosted by the police, they sat on the grass, well behaved as requested. Veteran musician Willie Sebas and the Segothons band, who reunited after 15 years, belted out old-time favorites. The crowd was young, many had never seen Sebas play live, but the music was familiar. Then an intermission. The Metropolitan Superintendent delivered a short awareness message aimed at the voting public.
You must get respect. You respect him, Narapla. Making Pasilo Narapla, one cannot say, you like him and walk him to you. You respect him, Narapla, but respect him you back.
On stage, the toll-free police number, a link to a network of sector patrol units in Lae that have been attending to complaints since the restructure of operations.
Look at credit phone do you ring. And by telephone by ring to the police station. Policeman or police Mary by sim telephone.
Towards the end, the crowd got used to the heavy police presence, and that's when the fun began. Lae's Metropolitan Superintendent Anthony Wagambi said later this could be the start of an interesting partnership between the police, the public and PNG musicians.
We tried it out today, and I'm thankful to all my officers and all my policemen and women who came along today to support us and provide the security. In the long run, I think this is the best way to go about it.
Korkwaide, National MTV News, Ley.
Police Commissioner Gary Baki says the force can deliver a safe and fair elections despite the country's challenging economic state. Baki says while it will be challenging, he says the force has delivered past elections. The top cop made this statement in Kevang while attending a parade for the Natal operations in New Ireland.
The head of the police force was in Kevang to launch the involvement of the 3 disciplinary forces in the election operations. Commissioner Baki was given a parade prior to making a statement. Addressing the joint forces, Baki maintained his confidence in the force to deliver what is required by law during this crucial era of the country, the elections.
This is the second elections I will be delivering as the Commissioner of Police. And the challenge is more even daunting for us simply because of the economic situations that is affecting the country today.
The government allocated 121 million kina for the Natal operations in this national election. But Baki says the amount sounds bigger than its actual value to help the force with necessary resources for a smooth flow of events during the campaign, polling, declaration and formation of government.
Because we are limited by resources that is available to us, we have to work in between the dates of the requirements in terms of the election process to be able to deploy our personnel accordingly so that whatever money that the government has given to us is managed within the time frame that is given to us.
Over 10,600 policemen and women will be deployed for the election operations across the country. Baki also says the force is also stretched with more focus being placed on the Highlands region.
Yes, it is challenging, but this is our task. That's your job and it's my job to deliver the elections in support of the electoral commissions so that our people, the public, the members of the public, the population that we expected to serve, come and cast their votes in a fair, safe environment so that they can elect the leaders of their choice.
With less than 7 days left before the polls open, Commissioner Baki urged those involved in the elections to embrace the integrity of the force to maintain transparency and public confidence. Jack Lopave Jr., National MTV News.
Still in Kevang, Police Commissioner Gary Baki says no major incident has been reported so far, with a few minor cases in regards to the nomination and polling period. Baki said the force will maintain but also improve in areas of security for the duration of the polls.
As the Commissioner insists, this is a process that our Papua New Guineans understand the process of elections and they know exactly which are the leaders that they have to select, and during the election process that they go. Then the campaign period is quiet, the nomination is quiet. Maybe the polling period will also be quiet when we go. And if we do, and we come out of it, there is a plus for the entire country.
Panguna women landowners, mothers from the mining affected areas and the women from central Bougainville have demanded the autonomous Bougainville government to properly address the Panguna mine issue. Yesterday, they proved their rights as customary landowners and blocked the road from the Morgan Junction, preventing the government delegation from continuing to Panguna for the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement.
Of agreement was to be signed between the autonomous Bougainville government, landowners and the Panguna mine stakeholders, and the ABG maintains the MOA sets the pathway for further steps for the Panguna mine and Bougainvillians. However, the signing didn't proceed yesterday because of the roadblock at the Morgan Junction. This follows a peaceful march where women folk protested against the signing on Wednesday this week, saying no to mining and no to BCL. The delegation, led by President Chief John Momis, then quickly convened to the Special Mining Lease Office and met with former Chairman Lawrence Davina, with women landowners, hardliners and the Mekanwi Government of Unity. The women folk want the reopening of the Panguna mine B after independence and are totally against BCL to be a developer of the Panguna mine because of the lack of awareness and consultation with the ABG. In Boca, Fabian Haklitz, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. More local stories and news making headlines overseas when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Efforts to break down ethnic tension between the Waria and Watut people in Bulolo district are underway with talks of a peace ceremony. This follows a clash between the factions which resulted in settlers being displaced. The International Organization for Migration is facilitating the talks with support from the district and provincial administration.
After years of ethnic disputes, leaders of the Waria, Bubu and Watut communities in Bulolo have decided to make peace. A meeting was held today at the Bulolo district office. The process is being facilitated by the district and provincial administration and the International Organization for Migration.
Just heavy been come up here and been back up and plan something along business, along school picking in something good for something man like making me hard.
Is that they first put the peace process in place. It's up to the community here to achieve peace, to commit to peace, so that we can come in and support their efforts.
In 2013, several people were killed in a clash between the Waria, Bubu and Watut groups. Homes were burnt down and hundreds of families displaced. This followed soon after a clash between the Sipiks and the Morobians in Bulolo in 2010. A date for an official peace ceremony has been set for the 20th of October. A district peace committee has also been established to facilitate the process, a process that will hopefully restore peace between these two groups in Bulolo after 5 years. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Bulolo.
Resettlement plans for Sipik people who were displaced in Bulolo in a clash in 2010 is a work in progress, as land allocations have already been made for this exercise. The process, however, has been halted due to the elections and will continue soon after.
The township of Bulolo in the Morobe province is peaceful at this time. This, however, has not always been the case. This quiet town has seen its days of gloom when ethnic rivalry reached a peak in several points in time. The remains of this problem are seen in the displaced families that now await to be resettled. Pastor Marcus Mombi is one of the leaders of the Bulolo Sipik community who says resettlement is taking too long.
Can our authorities only fast track this process belong resettlement blomipla.
The Bulolo Sipik community have been residing in care centers since 2010 after they were displaced during a clash. Deteriorating living conditions is a concern being raised.
Our kind of small shelter, I'm long overdue. Like also, canvas na continuously deteriorate now. Like water, our health, sanitation, in a good place until now.
According to the Bulolo Town Lord Mayor, Mr. Gaumina Soga, land allocations have already been made.
All civic no staff care center, still me by movie morigo, los onem happy pipe in subdividing nesta, mosem ogara by go sanaplong. So me time long, movie morigo sinaro display.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Ley.
Health Secretary Pasco Kase released a statement today saying valuable medical supplies are on their way to key hospitals who have been reporting shortages. Mr. Kase said the government has provided considerable help for central agencies to free up access to resources, which allowed for faster payments to medical supply contractors. Urgent supplies were flown to Mount Hagen yesterday. Other centres include Kundiawa, Alotau, Wewak, Rabaul, Medang and Lei's Engau Memorial Hospital. Secretary Kase said other shipments will be for other centres throughout the country until there is adequate supply for all hospitals. Turning overseas now, United States President Donald Trump is hiring more lawyers to handle the ongoing federal probe into Russian election interference. It's one more sign that the investigation is weighing heavily on the Trump White House, including on the president himself.
Trump saying publicly for the first time today that he is under investigation as the probe of Russia's influence in the 2016 election expands. He also assailed the integrity of the Justice Department official overseeing the investigation. I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director, the president said. Witch hunt. That man is Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who made the decision to appoint a special counsel to investigate whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. Only a month ago, Rosenstein, a veteran of the Justice Department, received the president's praise.
He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him, the Republicans like him. He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey.
But it's the firing of FBI Director James Comey that investigators are now exploring to determine whether the president was trying to obstruct justice. In the Oval Office today, the president huddling with his aides before traveling to Miami to announce new restrictions on travel and business with Cuba.
We will enforce the embargo.
But the president's agenda overshadowed by the Russian investigation as he's lashing out on Twitter. After 7 months of investigations and committee hearings about my collusion with the Russians, nobody has been able to show any proof. Sad. A White House official told CNN the tweets were less spontaneous than a strategy by the president of taking matters into his own hands. This is a political fight, and he's going to fight it, the official said. But the Russia cloud threatening to engulf the president is far more than political. CNN has learned members of the Trump transition team received a memo urging all volunteers and aides to preserve any records relating to Russia, Ukraine, or investigations into top Trump campaign officials in the inquiry. All this comes 2 years to the day after Mr. Trump jumped into the Republican primary. As he returned to the White House tonight, now 6 months into his term, questions not even imagined back then weigh on his presidency. President Trump also adding a new high-powered lawyer to his legal team. John Dowd, who led the Major League Baseball investigation into Pete Rose, also defended Senator John McCain in the Keating 5 scandal so many years ago. He'll be joining the president's own legal team. But so many of those lawyers have been advising the president not to tweet, not to talk about this investigation. So why is he doing it? A person close to him told me he's simply trying to discredit the investigation.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. We'll have the details after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with billiards. The 2017 PNG Media Pool Competition was launched today at the Lamana Golf Club. For 12 years, this competition has been running. It has seen ever-growing interest from media houses here in the capital city. For this year, 24 teams will be putting themselves to the test once more.
The competition will be running for the next 19 weeks. Now only 3 weeks in, the turnout looks promising. Media Pool Competition Chairman Tony Sipa said there are a number of strong contenders already showing dominance, including Cool Graphics, who won back-to-back titles in the last 2 years. And the other teams gracing the competition include newsmakers CRE, freelancers, NBC, Education Media and others.
Two games each Saturday. The competition runs for about 19 weeks, and after that we go into the finals. The normal round robin is 19 weeks, playing 2 games every Saturday. 7 frames in a game, and one of those frames, the third frame, is compulsory for a lady to be in the singles. So we have five singles and 2 doubles. We have a compulsory ladies double in the third frame, and we have a compulsory lady and a men's on the 7th frame.
The competition, as usual, will be played every Saturday at the Lamana Golf Club. Dean Rose Raiko, National EMTV Sports.
To Rugby League, SPPNG Hunters Dr. Gideon Kendino was held up and shot at the Paradise Private Hospital in Port Moresby this week. Dr. Kendino was at the Paradise Hospital to pick up medical reports for some SP Hunters players when he was held up. The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League has condemned the attack on Dr. Gideon Kendino by the thugs. Dr. Kendino has been with the SP Hunters since their entry into the Queensland Intrust Super Cup in 2014. Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some overseas sporting news now, and in athletics, long jumper Blessing Okakbare's effort at the Bislett Games in Oslo was a hair-raising one. When her wig fell off during her first jump, the 28-year-old Nigerian suffered the hairpiece malfunction when she landed in the sand early on in the Diamond League. An Olympic and World Championship silver medalist, Okakbare wasn't quite at her best after that, finishing the event fourth with a best leap of 6.48 meters. To football, and the body of former Newcastle midfielder Cheick Tiote came home to hundreds of adoring fans in Ivory Coast's main Abidjan airport. A small memorial had been held before he left with friends and former teammates in Beijing, where he collapsed whilst training at his club, Beijing Enterprises.
The 30-year-old, who joined the second-tier Chinese side in February after 7 years at England's Newcastle United, collapsed during training and died in hospital last week. Former international players Didier Otokore, Youssef Fofana were there, praising him for his strength and shocked at his young death.
Je pense qu'on est sur cette terre, en fait, pour accomplir ce qu'on doit accomplir, et puis après on s'en va. Parce que je ne peux pas comprendre qu'un si jeune puisse mourir d'une crise cardiaque.
Ouais, ben, tout le monde est unanime. C'est un guerrier. Quand il venait en sélection, il jouait comme quand il jouait avec Newcastle. Donc aujourd'hui, c'est un joueur, on ne reprochait rien à ce joueur-là parce qu'il s'est battu quand il venait jouer pour la Côte d'Ivoire. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, c'est une perte, quoi.
Herve Renard, the Ivory coach who brought the national team the 2015 Cup of African Nations victory, said he was the best kind of player for a trainer, a solid team player.
C'était un combattant, un guerrier, pour un entraîneur, ça n'a pas de prix. C'était quelqu'un en plus en dehors qui était très réservé. Il ne posait pas de problème dans un groupe, mais sur le terrain, il donnait le maximum. C'était un joueur parfait pour un entraîneur.
Tiote made more than 150 appearances for Newcastle, with his only goal for the club a memorable equaliser against Arsenal, as his team battled back to draw 4-4 at St James's Park in February 2011. He was an African Nations Cup winner with the Ivory Coast in 2015, although he missed the final through injury, and he played in the 2010 and 2014 World Cups. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
And that's how we end Trukai Sports for tonight. Up next, the weather details for tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Here's a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, mostly fine. Fine weather expected in Daru and Kerema. Fine becoming cloudy for Alatau and Popondetta. To the Momase region, mostly fine in Ley, Madang and Wewak. Showers in Wau, cloudy with some showers for Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with some showers expected in Lorengau and Kimbe. Mostly fine in Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, cloudy becoming fine for Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect fine weather with morning fog.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the way it is this Saturday, the 17th of June 2017. From the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.